Making pot legal in Canada is not slowing down the amount of it being illegally smuggled in and out of the country. Jameson Burko from the Globe and Mail joins me now to explain. Jameson, the Canadian Border Services Agency year-end drug analysis says customs officers, are still seizing large quantities of cannabis coming into Canada. So why have we not seen that number drop?
Because, frankly, legalization is not a light switch, Kelsey, and I think that's something that gets lost in translation with the extreme, dramatic shift that legalization does bring. It doesn't bring it all at once, though, right? When legalization happened for alcohol, there were still bootleggers who were still trying to make a buck, and it took decades to force them out of the market. There's still some folks who are trying to get their hand at some bathtub mint juleps. But in the legal marijuana market, people often point to, say, Colorado as the model that we should be following. Well, in Colorado, the legal market only has about a 70% share. So what that means is, after more than 5 years of legal cannabis sales in that state, still about 3 out of every $10 spent is still spent in the illegal market. So it is a long uphill battle that legalization has to fight, and we've really only just gotten started.
Does the price of legal cannabis play into this?
Oh, 100% it does. And that's a really important point as well, Kelsey, because it really just reminds us about the pure economics of legalization, right? If you take away the incentive for people to go into the illegal market, then the illegal market will cease to exist. So that is a major part of combating this. And frankly, you could look at this and say it's a positive, because the more that smuggling has to continue, the more it shows that the illegal market is struggling to maintain their own supply in this country. At least that's my kind of glass half full way of looking at it.
So the CBSA report also showed Canadians are illegally exporting pot, and the amount of exports is growing. They went up more than 460% in the fall of 2018 over the fall of 2017. So where is all this pot going?
Well, most of it's going to the United States, right? In fact, that's a really important point as well, is that Canada, you know, we built our reputation as one of the international best sources of cannabis, and we didn't do that by people coming and visiting Canada. A lot of it is, you know, an export-based product to actually give people that anecdotal evidence. And it's good that you mentioned that, though. It kind of warms my patriotism bone a little bit, even though I think it is still a main story about bringing cannabis into this country, which did honestly kind of sting a little bit as a Canadian, that, you know, you'd think of all the things we'd be self-sufficient in, cannabis would at least be one of them.
Jameson, what's the timeline here, do you think, to see these numbers change?
That's a good question, actually. To actually start to see them change, I think we should see that relatively soon, especially as we get, you know, more stores in Ontario and the legal market gets more of a foothold in the country. But in terms of seeing it fall to, you know, zero or something that's kind of nil or barely relevant, right, negligible, I really don't think that that's something that we will see for at least a decade. But I do think that we will get there eventually. But, I mean, the criminals aren't going to give up without a fight.
That's a fair point. Thank you so much for coming in this morning.
My pleasure.